Hello there everyone. Today I want to show you how to make this multicolored button knot bracelet. And then this is what it looks like. And I've added beads to this one, but you don't have to do that. I'm just going to show you, if you want to, how to do it. And then also I'm using three colours, black, light blue and brown. But again, that's just my choice. You can use whatever colours you want. And you can even use more or less colours as well. You can use two colours or even more colours if you want to. This is just to show you the technique. And then I'm also going to show you how to finish it off with an adjustable locking pat if you want to do it that way. Or you can use cord ends to finish it off as well. This is another example I've done. So that's up to you. So if you want to learn how to do this, then keep watching. And these are the things that you're going to need. Now for this we'll only need a few things. You'll need some cord, and in this case I'm just using some 2mm satin cord in a few different colours. I just got a black one, light blue and then a brown, just because I thought them colours would go nicely together. But you can also choose whatever colours you want, and you can even choose more or less colours in this as well. I'm just going to be working with three colours, but if you get the principle of this, then you'll be able to do it with either more or less colours as well. And then I'm using 2mm satin cord just to get a bit more of a substantial knot. If you're using a thinner cord, you can still do it, but it'll obviously become a smaller knot. So I prefer to do this button knot bracelet with thicker cord, hence why I'm using the 2mm. And then if you want to add beads in this case I've got some stardust beads, and they're 10mm, but what you got to remember, we're putting a lot of cord through there and it's thick cord, so the hole needs to be quite large. For these, the hole is 5mm, so you just obviously, if you want to add beads, you need to make sure the hole is large enough, quite substantially large, to take quite a bit of cord through. But these will work fine for what I'm doing. But you don't have to add beads to this, obviously. That's your own choice. So get your things together and then let's get started. Now the first thing that we need to do is we need to cut our cords ready. And I've done that here. And what you need basically is one length of each colour that you're using. So now because I'm using three colours, I've cut three different lengths. But if you're using more or less, just cut one length of each colour. And then the length of these is about 150 centimetres each. So that's roughly the length that you need them. So cut your cords ready. And then when you cut your cords, what I recommend that you do is on one end of all of them, I recommend that you just singe the ends with a lighter or something. So just warm it up and then roll it between your fingers. Only if you feel comfortable doing it. It's not necessary. It's just makes it a little bit easier to make the knots, and also if you want to add beads to them. Because in this kind of, the end works a little bit like a needle. Makes it easier to form the knots, but then also get them through your beads. Especially if it's a bit tight to get them through. So that's just a little tip to make it a little bit easier. Otherwise, we'll move to the other end and start, because the ends that were just singed are the ends that we're going to be working with. So we'll move down to the other end here, and this is where we're going to start making our knots from. Now what you want to do is you want to leave a bit of a tail on this end, so you don't want to start making your knots right from next to the end, because we'll need this at the end to finish off the bracelet if you want to do it in that way that I'm going to show you. So just leave a tail of about 20 to 30 centimetres. It's just enough for you to make a couple of knots at the end with those ends. So what we're going to do is start here, and then we need to start making the knots. Now the first couple of knots are always the hardest ones because all your cords are loose still, whereas when you've made a knot with each colour, the knots kind of help stop the rest and it makes it easier to form the knots after. But it's just right at the beginning here. So just make sure that you kind of try and keep your tails equal. So what we're going to do is, I'm going to start with my black one, and we need to start forming the knots now. But what we're doing, we do the knots with one colour at a time. So this first knot I'm going to use the black, and we're going to be making the knot around the other two cords. Or if you're using more or less, just around all the other cords that you're using. And the way to do that is we need to make some loops. The first loop is we need to come behind the other cords and then above. So basically you're looping around your cords and they're coming out through the middle of that loop. And then again, another loop, come behind your other cords and then back on top of them. And then you've got something that looks like this, with your other cords that you're not using yet coming up through that middle hole base that you created where both of your loops overlap each other. And then you want to get the end of your black cord that you're using to form the loops, and you want to go down through the first one. Just for now ignore these ones, go down through the first one here and then come back up through the middle. But when you come back up through the middle, you want to make sure that you come up the other side of these cords. So leave these down and then come up above them, like so. So basically we're making another loop now, and again we're going down underneath and then up behind and up in front. So we're doing the same thing, just keep that in mind, go around these the right way, and then we need to go down through the last one. So your black cord is basically weaving in and out of the loops that you created, or the holes that you created with the two previous loops. So down through the first one, up through the middle one, behind these, and then down through the last one. And then just pull your cord a bit tight. Gather that up with the rest to keep hold of it. And you now have 3 loops like this, with still your other cords coming through the very middle one, where all your loops are overlapping each other. And then get the end again. Now to make the last loop, you go down through the first one now, the first hole that you have, and then you want to skip behind the 2 next black cords. So if you can put these, put them down if you need to, like this, get them out of the way. You need to go down through the first one, skip behind the next 2 black ones, and then come up through the very middle one where all your loops are overlapping each other and creating that middle hole. And again, what you need to make sure of is that you come behind your other cords when you're coming up through that middle loop, like so. And that's your last loop, and you have something that looks roughly like this. And then now what you can do is let it go, and then we basically need to start tightening it up now. And this is the part that's the trickiest right at the beginning. It's not difficult, it's just because all your cords are still loose, whereas later on you'll have, when you've made a previous knot, that'll help work against. So because otherwise these cords you can pull them straight through. So just keep that in mind. So what you need to do is start tightening up this knot. So I normally start with the one where your cord is coming out from the other side, up through the middle, and then you just want to work your way around and gradually tightening it up. And just do it gradually, a bit at a time. You won't get it completely tight the first go around, so you probably have to do 2 or 3 go arounds. And then that's the last loop that I've tightened, and then you just pull the very middle, the length that you've been working with, to tighten that. And then it's definitely a lot tighter now, but still not tight enough. So what I'm going to do is go back in again and just do the exact same thing. So grab the very middle one first and then work your way around. You just follow the path of the cord, have a look where it comes next, and then go to there, pull it tight. And just take your time with this. And once you've done a few knots, you'll kind of learn the path, so it'll become easier to, you'll kind of automatically learn where the next piece that you need to pull tight is coming. like that, and then all we have left is to tighten the long length that we're working with, to tighten the last bit, like so. And there we have it nice and tight. But as you can see currently, it can move up and down on the other cords. That's because they're just coming through the middle. So now what we need to do is keep making knots, but start using the other colours. So the next colour that I want to use is the light blue one. So we're going to be doing the exact same thing, have the other two coming out like this, start making your knot with this, making your loops first. So bring it behind the other cords, back around the front to make your first loop, around the back again, and looping back around the front. So you're constantly looping around the back to the front, so you make sure that your cords stay in the very middle. So that's your first two. Grabbing the end of that light blue one, down through the first hole, up through the middle, making sure you come above your other cords, and then down through the last one. And then pull it a bit tighter so you get your third loop. Hold on to that. So you have this. And then the last one, go down through the first one, move around the back, skip behind two of your blue cords now to come up through the very middle one hole where all of your loops are crossing over each other to form that very middle hole, and also where your other cords are coming out from, and make sure you come again above them so you loop around the back, around them and back around the front to create your fourth loop. And then we can let it go just like before, and then start tightening this knot. And again I go to the very middle one, basically where it's coming out from the previous knot, like so. Make sure that you kind of keep hold of them because it's still loose, because it'll be loose until you made a knot with each cord. When you've done that, your knots will help stop pulling through. So just the first few knots, be aware of that. So follow the path of the cord, working your way around. And like I said, after a few knots you'll probably learn the path and you'll know where to go next. And then pull the long length. And make sure obviously your knot sits right above the one you made before, not on top of it. But also I like them to sit as close as possible. That's why now I'm going to go in and tighten it up properly. That's why I like pulling this one first, because you can pull it right down and then kind of put your finger on it and then go around and tighten up the rest. Now one tip I will say is quite good to have, say, a chain nose plier for this, because it can really help, because when you're not getting a bit tighter it can be difficult to get in there and grab the piece of cord that you need to tighten next with just using your fingers. So that's why chain nose pliers can be really good to get in there and you can get a nice grip on your cord. Just be a bit careful because you obviously don't want to damage your cord. So use them if you have them. It can be really helpful. Just be a bit careful. So follow the path all the way around to tighten it up. Making sure that it's as nice and close to the first knot you made as possible. And we're getting there. It's getting tighter. And the last one, like so. There we go. So that's the second knot now. And you can always do, if you feel like it's not quite tight enough yet, you can get it a bit tighter. Just go back in and do one more go around. Start with the middle one. And especially here, I'll recommend using your chain nose pliers when it gets this tight, because you can grip the cord a lot better. So just keep going around like this. Tighten that up. And then the next one, obviously, I'm going to be using the brown cord so that I have one knot with each colour. and then if you want to, you can add beads to it as well. So I've now made my third knot. So I've now made one with each colour that I'm using, and the pattern that you want to make the bracelet is obviously completely up to you. What I want to do now is add my bead in. So I just go to the end, and that's the ends that I'm working with and where I singe them. And I get one of my beads out, obviously where the hole is large enough so all my cords can go through. And I just put my bead on there. Put all your cords through because you want it to sit outside on all your cords. Like so. And then just pull it all the way down to sit on top of your knots. So basically in place of another knot that you would have made there instead. And then all you do is continue with the pattern that you want. I'm going to then do brown now, so it's going to be mirrored of before. And you just keep making your knots, and you can either obviously then choose not to use the beads if you want to and just use knots. And again, you don't have to use your colours in this way. You can make it random, or just basically as you go you choose what colour you want the next knot to be, and that's the cord that you use. It doesn't have to be one at a time and the same throughout. So that's really how you make this bracelet. You just continue how you want it to be until you reach the length, and then I'll show you how we finish it off. So I've now continued till I reach the length that I want my bracelet to be, and then it'll come into the shape, and then what we have left is both our ends that we now need to finish off. Now there's a few different ways you can do this. You can either use something like I've done on this one. Here I've used cord ends. So you just have your ends like this and use your cord ends and attach your findings. So that's one way to finish them off, if you prefer that. But otherwise you can use the actual knot as well that you use throughout the bracelet and make an adjustable locking part. And that's what I'm going to show you how to do here. So to do that, what I'm going to do is grab my bracelet and grab the ends, and then we need to lay them next to each other but going in opposite directions, like this. And then to make this knot, we're basically going to be doing the exact same thing that we've done throughout, just around all of these instead of just the ones we've been working with. So this is why you want it to leave a substantial tail at the beginning, so you have enough cord on this end to make your knots with, and obviously enough cord in the other end as well. So you just do the same thing. I'm going to be using my black one in this case. Go around the bottom, around the back of it, and then back around on top to make your first loop. And obviously you're probably going to have a shorter length here than you've been working with throughout most of the bracelet, as long as you have enough to make the knot. But just take it slowly and then it'll work out fine. And then back around again to make your second loop, like so. And then now all these cords are coming up through the middle one, the middle hole where both your loops are overlapping. So now we need to weave down through the first one, up through the middle, making sure you come above your cords, and then down through the last one. So that's your third loop, and then weaving around the last time, down through the first one, skip behind two and come up through the middle, again above all these cords. And then you can just gently, you can let go and then just gently kind of push it into shape a bit. And now what we want to do is, you don't want to tighten this just yet, because we need to make the knot on the other side as well. Get that prepared. But this is going to be a guideline as to where your cords are going to be going in and out, straight down through the middle of the knot. So we don't want to start tightening this yet, as I said. Just make sure that the tail here is not so short that it's going to start unraveling by itself. If you just have a bit of tail sticking out, then it'll stay in place while you're working with the rest. So what we need to do now is move to the other side and then make the same knot around here. And what I'm going to do is pick out the colour that I want to use, and again I'm going to use the black on this as well. So I'm going to pull that out through the knot that we've made, but that is why we still have the other ones in there. So you're going to easily, because you've left it open, you've not tightened it yet, once we've made this knot loosely, we can put this black one back in, and then that one in through that one, and then we'll start tightening them. So we need to just kind of make the knots first before we start tightening them. And then we can kind of do it that way so the cords will weave in through each other, and that will become the adjustable part. So just do the same knot here around all of them. Same knot you've been doing throughout the whole bracelet. Making your loops and weaving in and out of them. Like so. And let go, and then you have your knot loosely again. And just gently tighten it a little bit without too much, so you still have a gap there. Because now what we can do is put this back through the other one, the first knot that we made, that we left loose as well. Like so. And then we can start tightening up our knots. So at the moment it does look a bit of a mess, but it's going to work out fine as long as you make sure that you have these two, the two cords that you made your knot with are basically going through each other, so intertwining through the opposite knot. Just following along with the other cords as well, coming out from the same place. So now I'm going to start tightening this, and you just do that the exact same way. So find the first cord and then follow the path. And if you want, you can do a bit at a time, or you can do and switch over, or you can just do one full knot, which I'm going to do this one first. Tighten it completely and then switch over and tighten the other one, because then if one of them has slipped out, like this one, because it's quite short, it's going to get longer when I tighten this knot. There's going to be more of it left, and then I can more easily fit it through there and then start tightening that knot. So just do this to finish it off. So I've now tightened up both sides, so the adjustable knot on each side, and we have all these loose ends now coming out from there. 3 on each, because that's the cords we've been working with. And then all you do now is you can pull the ends, to tighten the bracelet, and then you can pull them out again to open it up to help you get it on and have it stay on as well. So that's the adjustable part. You can do it this way. And the first time you pull, it might just be a little bit tight if you tighten the knots quite tightly, which I prefer to do. But just do it a couple of times and then it'll slide a lot easier. And then now all there's left to do is finish off these ends. And there's obviously a few different ways you can do this. It's really personal preference. You just kind of need something on the end here. You want to obviously cut them down, but you need something on the end to be a stopper, because otherwise when you open this, you could pull the cord straight through. So you just need something like a bead or something at a distance from there, so they act like a stopper. You won't be able to pull them through when you open it, but at the same time it gives you enough space on there to be able to open it to get it on and off and have it be adjustable. So you can either use a bead for that, or a few beads, one on each if you want to, or the beads will be using throughout the bracelet. Or another thing you could do is make a stopper by using the knots we've made in the bracelet as well. So you just start making your knot, use whatever cord you want, make your knot around just like you've done throughout the whole bracelet, around the other two cords, do that on both sides, and then just tighten it so it gets tightened a space further out, so you have a certain length, the length that you want it to be, and then your knot sits on the outside, and then you cut off the excess cord, and then you can cinch it down. So that's an option for you to do there as well. You just do exactly the same knot, But otherwise, then that's your finished bracelet with adjustable part. And if you prefer the other way, if you want to use cord ends, I have a video on how to finish off macrame bracelets where I feature that in, how to use them. So I'll link that in the description box. Otherwise, then this is the finished bracelet. And I really hope that you enjoyed that, and thank you very much for watching. Hello there everyone. Today I want to show you how to do a basic beaded kumihimo braid using round beads in this case. And this is what it looks like. So this is just the example that I'll be showing you in the video, but it's more to show you the technique of how to add beads to a kumihimo braid, because you can use many different sizes and types of beads. So if you want to learn how to do that, then stay tuned. And these are the things that you'll need.